Welcome to ITProTV. I'm your host, Don.
Coming at you live from San Francisco, California.
You're watching ITProTV.
Welcome to another great show right here on ITProTV. You're watching the CompTIA IT Fundamentals show. I'm your host, Ronnie Wong, and today we're jumping into the realm of, well, security best practices. And of course, here to help us out is going to be Mr. Don Pizzette himself. Don, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me back, Ronnie. And excited to jump into this one because in the last episode we talked a little bit about just basic security principles, so things that we need to know about in IT security. But in this episode, what I want to do is take that kind of fundamental knowledge and translate that into practical, real-world things that we should be doing on our computers to keep them secure. If you're interested in moving into the IT security world as a career, this is stuff that you'll be doing every day. How do we maintain the security of our systems so that they function, so that they do what we expect them to do when we need to do it? On a positive note, there are a ton of tools that are out there to help us. On a negative note, there's a ton of tools that are out there to help us, and we've got to be able to figure out which tools are appropriate for which problem and how we can use them in conjunction to create a total solution for our security needs. So we're going to take a look at that here, but we're going to try and do this from a fairly high level. I don't want to dig too deep into it and show you basic practices that everybody should be implementing on their computers to stay safe, secure, and using your computer as expected.
All right, Don, when it comes down to IT security or computer security, where are we going to begin as far as something that we need to talk about?
All right, let's start with the one that everybody hears about, viruses. Right? That it's in the news. Even if you don't watch the news, you or someone you know has had their computer infected with a virus before and have had to deal with that. And in a professional environment, you go to your IT department and maybe they bail you out, right? They fix your computer and now it just works. In a personal environment, maybe you have to go down to the Best Buy Geek Squad or somewhere and they fix it for you, or maybe you have the knowledge to be able to get in there and fix that. Typically, and I'm going to make a generalization here, which might be wildly wrong, but typically if you have the knowledge to remove a virus, you had the knowledge to not get a virus in the first place. So usually when a machine is infected, you're going to rely on someone else to fix that. Not always, but typically. This is something that everyone deals with at some point, and it's bad. It's bad because you can get your machine infected and not even know it. You might have a virus, and your computer is meanwhile attacking other people out there on the internet. You have no idea. Or you might really, really know it, where you're getting pop-up advertisements on your computer all the time. Your home page in your web browser goes to some site you've never heard of. Your personal information is being leaked out to foreign sites, or all of your data gets encrypted and locked away, and they're demanding a Bitcoin payment to get at it, right? These are all bad scenarios. So if we want to maintain the security of our systems, we want to maintain where our systems function and our data is private, right? Our CIA tripod or triad, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. If we want to maintain those three things of our computer, well, we've got to worry about viruses. And there's a few different ways that we can protect our systems. Most commonly, this is done with antivirus software. And if you used computers in the 1990s and in the early 2000s, antivirus software was ubiquitous. Everybody would buy a computer and then turn around and buy antivirus software. Today, most of the operating system vendors recognize that antivirus software is so important that it's being built into the operating systems. So you may or may not actually be buying a separate product anymore, but you are still using it. It is still there and relevant. That type of functionality, that protection is a key piece of maintaining IT security. And if you're a security professional for a company, you'll be responsible for maintaining the antivirus software for that organization. And you maintain it a few different ways, but the main way is making sure that all your machines do have the antivirus software, that they are being protected, and that if a machine does get compromised, that you're alerted, that you're aware of it as soon as possible. That's all a part of managing antivirus and viruses in an organization.
All right, Don, so of course there's always questions about stuff when you start talking about it, like here's how you secure it, here's all the things that are available. But Don, where do they begin and how do they get on the computers?
All right, so it's a great question because there's a number of different ways that you can get infected. But it usually boils down to you went somewhere you weren't supposed to go, right? And there's a ton of ways to do that. The easiest way is on the internet, right? When you're on the internet and you're browsing websites, it's very easy to do a Google search, find some crazy results, and go to a site that is a compromised site that infects your machine. It might not even involve a network, though. It could be that you found a USB key laying on the ground and thought, I wonder what's on this. And you plugged it in your computer to look at what was on there. And now your machine gets infected. These are a number of different ways. But typically, when it comes to viruses, you do it to yourself. You're the one who infects your machine. And I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive. You're like, well, no, somebody wrote this virus. Somebody pushed it out. And there are some, they're called worms. They're self-propagating viruses that use various exploits that are found on the network to be able to compromise a machine without you being involved. That's not your fault necessarily, right? We'll talk about system updates a little bit later and how we can protect from that. But most viruses, we gladly install ourselves. We just do it unknowingly. We don't realize it, right? So let me give you an example. And I wanted this example to be poignant, so I'm going to use a Mac. And the reason is most people are using Windows machines, right? And so I've got a Windows machine parked right here also. I could use that one. But one thing that you hear is a lot of people say, I don't have to worry about viruses. I run a Mac, right? Well, the reality is every computer can get a virus. It doesn't matter if it's Mac, Windows, Linux, Unix. They can all get it. There's just more for Windows because there's more Windows deployments in the world. Over 80% of business computers run the Windows operating system, so that's a prime target. But anything can be compromised. And so I'll show you right here on this Mac. Now, I've got a standard Mac, and this one is running macOS High Sierra 10.13.4, which as of the filming of this episode, this is the absolute latest and greatest version of macOS from Apple. So I'm fully updated, and I've done that. Now, I'm not running any antivirus software on here. I'm just running my Mac. I'm fully updated. Well, I say I'm fully updated. There is one little update down here in my App Store. So some update has come out. And operating systems will usually push these updates to fix things like security exploits to let you know, hey, there's some vulnerability. We need to patch it. This one, it's an iTunes update. So I'm okay there. I don't need to update my music store. But anyhow, so I'm updated as far as the operating system is concerned. Now, let's say that I'm a home user, a college student. I'll be a college student today. So I'm a college student, and I say, boy, I've got a term paper I need to write. Sure, it would be convenient if I had Microsoft Office. But Microsoft Office costs money. I don't want to spend money. So you know what? I'm just going to go and download Microsoft Office. You can go to Microsoft's website and download Microsoft Office. They'll let you download the whole thing. But it's a trial version, right? And once the trial is up, it stops working, and you've got to pay. You've got to buy it, and they give you a key, and it unlocks the full version. But you can go to Microsoft's website and you can download the whole version. All you need is that key. I bet there's some way that I could get a key. And people do this. This is a pretty common thing. They'll just fire up a web browser. They'll go to Google or somewhere like that, and they'll do a search for like Microsoft Office keygen or key generator or whatever. And they'll go out there and you'll find tons and tons and tons of links here for ways to activate Office without a product key or a product key generator. This one, it's 100% working, right? This doesn't mean anything. We don't, it's probably 0% working, right? But we don't get any kind of validation here. These are the kind of results that come up, and people can go in and download these, right? And when they download them, what they think they're getting is a program that's going to unlock Microsoft Office for them so they can use it without paying for it. But more often than not, the files that you download from these sites, they're not going to unlock the software. What they're going to do is install a virus. And the worst kind of virus that's going around right now is what's called ransomware. And ransomware is where it encrypts all of your data so you lose access to your information. And then it drops a ransom note on your computer that says you've got to pay money if you want us to decrypt your data. So for example here, let's say I go and download one of those files, which before the show I did. And if I go into my downloads, here's this Office 2016 patcher that I downloaded. And I'd love to say that I had to spend hours building this lab to find a compromised file. But the reality is this was literally the first link that I clicked on. The very first link, I downloaded an Office patcher. And what it was, a little program that you could run, and it would patch Microsoft Office to not require a product key, right? So you download it, you run it. Now I'm just a regular old user, and I'm running this application. I get press start button to crack or patch Office 2016. That's exactly what I want, right? I hit start. It's patching Office. Please wait. It may take up to 10 minutes. It's currently doing process 0 of 3. All right. Looks like I'm in business. This program worked, right? It's patching Microsoft Office. But what's actually going on, a true like binary patcher only takes a fraction of a second to run. They run very fast. They never take 10 minutes. This is pretty ridiculous. But what's actually going on is in the background, it installed a virus. And it did it without administrative privileges, right? I'm not an administrator. I'm just a regular user, right? And it's running, and it's finding my files, and it's encrypting my files, and it's locking them away. And if you're watching the screen, I'm not touching the keyboard here. Look, Mom, no hands. It's doing this on its own. And do you see all the files that just appeared on my desktop? Or even if you're watching in the background where I downloaded it, stuff is starting to appear, okay? I had other files in this folder, all right? And each of those files are being renamed. If we go into my documents, I had a copy of my resume. And so here's my resume. Resume.rtf. It was a rich text format document. And now it's resume.rtf.crypt. Huh. It wasn't .crypt a moment ago, right? But now it is. And if I try and open that file, it tells me that it's not a normal file. Well, what's going on there? It's been encrypted. And this README file, I didn't make that. Something put it there. And if I open that up and I take a look, I can find the ransom note. And the ransom note's actually dropped all over this computer. All these files that are on my desktop, they're all just copies of the ransom note with different names. All of these are how to decrypt, readme.txt, decrypt. It's all just the same ransom note over and over and over again. And my keychain just got encrypted. So more and more, my system's going to start breaking down here as this goes on. But more and more data here is being encrypted. And if I take a look at the ransom note, it's saying all of your files were protected by a strong encryption method. What do I do? And then, so there are two ways you can choose: wait for a miracle or start obtaining Bitcoin. So the miracle part, probably not going to work out. Obtain a Bitcoin. Here's how you can pay these people, and so on. All right. So this is a real virus. I didn't write this. I imagine these addresses are shut down by now or whatever. But actually, that's a fake address, a mailinator address. Anyway, it's not even a real address. But this service is not really a service, right? I've now been infected. I was trying to get Microsoft Office for free, and instead, I get this. Okay. Now, what can I do? Hopefully, I have a backup, right? Well, this is a Mac. And Macs have a great backup system called Time Machine. And I've got my Time Machine disk right here where it's backing up to it. I don't know if I've waited long enough, but if you wait long enough, the virus here is smart enough to know and recognize a Time Machine backup and encrypt it as well. And if I take a look at my Time Machine folder, now it hasn't hit it yet, but if we give it enough time, it'll hit that one too. Backups take a lot longer to encrypt because they're really big, right? So it'll hit that one. Eventually, we'll see it start to pop in here, and we'll see some .crypt files pop up in it. But it already nailed my Documents folder, and that's where usually we have our most sensitive stuff. Our photos, our music, that stuff gets hit next, and it just goes through and it encrypts it. If you've got a good backup, you're actually okay here to an extent. You got a lot of work ahead of you, right? Because you gotta wipe your machine, and you gotta restore it from backup and get all your data back. But a lot of people don't have backups, or they have online backups like mine, this Time Machine disk, where if I'm not careful, it's going to get encrypted in a moment too, and then it doesn't matter that I had a backup because I won't be able to access that either. That's how dangerous viruses can be. And I just did this myself. I infected myself by downloading a file from the internet from an untrusted source and running it. It never asked for admin privileges. I never had to type my password. It did all of this with just my regular user privileges. And that's what makes viruses like these so dangerous.
All right, Don, so how do I prevent this, or what can I do to help us to get out of this situation?
All right, well, the best solution here is if we use antivirus software, right? Now, I'm running a Mac, and Apple does a really good job of stepping in and saying, we're going to make sure that if we find out about a virus, we'll find out how it works, and we'll push an update out to fix it, okay? But it takes Apple a little time to do that. When a new virus comes out, it can take them a couple of days, sometimes even a week or two to work up an update. But then also it takes a little bit of time for you, the user, to actually download and apply that update. So there's a window of time, which I'm obviously in right now. And actually this virus, it came out several weeks ago, so I'm kind of surprised this one hasn't been taken care of yet. But basically, if you're in that window of time, you're still at risk. And so even on a Mac, where you're far less likely to get a virus than you are on a Windows machine, it's still a good idea to run antivirus software. So I want to show you an example of that. I want to kind of repeat this story, but do it on a machine that actually has antivirus software installed on it. So let's switch over to that
All right, so Don, what antivirus solution are we actually going to be using here?
All right, so for this example, what I'm doing, I'm bringing it up right now, is another machine. It's basically configured identical to the one that we just saw. So this, it actually is a clone of the other one. The only difference between this machine and the one that I just infected is that I've installed Sophos antivirus on it. All right, Sophos is a company that makes an antivirus product. They make it for home users as well as enterprise users. They have not the most flashy software in the world, but their research lab on the back end is one of the best in the world, if not the best. And so a lot of the antivirus products that you buy out there are actually licensing the Sophos research on the back end. It's kind of an interesting one. But I'm using Sophos antivirus. It tells me that I am protected, and it actually says threats were detected. Like, it's already detected the threat on my machine. I haven't even done anything yet, which is impressive. So I'm going to use Sophos. Now, keep in mind there are a number of antivirus products that are out there. Some that cost money, like Sophos, McAfee. You've got the Symantec or Norton suite. There's AVG. There's
Trend Micro,
Clam AV. I mean, there's a ton of them that are out there. Some are free. AVG is free. Avast, is Avast still free, or do they charge now?
I don't remember now.
I get confused sometimes. The market changes all the time. And I used to try and say, like, this one is the best. But it changes every year. It always seems like somebody else is better. So I've kind of fallen into this pattern where I just like to go with one that I can rely on. And I like the team over at Sophos, so that's the one that I use. And I'm going to use it here in this example. The reality is, though, you can use most antivirus products out there to get the same result. When that antivirus software is running, what it's doing is it's monitoring for programs running on your system. And anytime a program runs, it checks it and says, is this bad software, right? And if it is, it can stop it right then. If it's good software, it doesn't just stop there. It says, let the good software run, but we're going to watch what it does. And if that good software starts doing something crazy, we'll stop that, right? That's called behavioral analysis, or some people call it heuristics. And that's basically checking what the virus is doing. And that's important because new viruses come out every single day. So if you want to catch a virus that hasn't even been written yet, you can't be looking for a simple signature. You have to be looking for behavior. And that's what a lot of this does. And that's why antivirus software, most people don't even call it antivirus software anymore. They call it antivirus anti-malware, because malware just means bad software, right? Not necessarily a virus. But it also all gets grouped under what's called HIPS, or host-based intrusion prevention systems. And that's a very fancy way of saying software that protects the computer you use, right? And so that's what we're doing here. Now, if I were to browse onto my hard drive to where I downloaded that file, so I'm going into my downloads, and here's that Office 2016 patcher sitting right there, okay? I'm going to take that file, I'm going to run it, and I get this message. You can't open the application Office 2016 patcher because it may be damaged or incomplete. I didn't get that a minute ago, but I get it now. All right? What happened is the program tried to run, and the antivirus software picked that up and said, I'm not going to let that run. You're crazy. And so it stops it, and now it's not able to execute. And since it can't execute, it can't encrypt my data, right? And the more times I try and run it, I'm going to continue to get that it's not running, and the antivirus software is going to continue to stop it. Now, my antivirus software is constantly scanning the system. So just when I booted up, it must have run a quick scan, and it already found this file and knew that it was infected. If it hadn't already found it, I'd be getting a pop-up. And the pop-up just looks like this right here, where it says, scan complete, threats were detected. All right? And so you should do something about it. Now, some software you actually manage right from a console here on your own machine. With Sophos, they actually have a web-based interface that you use to manage your machines. And I use this for my home machines because you can get, I think it's like a 5-seat license for $50 a year. It's really inexpensive, but you can manage your whole family's computer, or a small business. You can manage small business computers. In the enterprise space, you might be managing thousands of computers. You don't necessarily need the pop-up to show up for the end user, because the end user isn't going to know what to do. You need it to show up for you. So you have a central console you're able to log in, and you can see the 1,000 computers that you're managing, and you can go in and you can protect yourself. But right here, just by installing that software, it protected me. I didn't get infected. My files aren't encrypted, and I'm in business, right? And everything worked on an identical machine from what we got infected a moment ago. So don't fall into that rut, fall into that myth, I don't know what's the right word there, of thinking I'm on a Mac, so I can't get infected. You can. No virus software is perfect. Oh, there's my pop-up. threat detected, OS10 file code -K, and it's telling me the file, oh, it found it in my Time Machine backup. Time Machine just backed up the virus, which made a second copy, and it just found that second copy. So if I were to click on that, it tells me a little bit more about it, and it tells me where that file is. And if I do the learn more, it's going to take me to the web page so I can log in and either clean the file, delete the file, or flag it as okay because maybe it's a false positive. All right. You know, speaking of false positives, sometimes you might have a file that gets detected as a virus that isn't, or you might have a file that isn't detected as a virus but should, right? And sometimes it's worth it to get a second opinion. I do this all the time. I'm using Sophos antivirus here. But if I'm about to scan a file and I really am just not sure, then I might want to get a second opinion. And you can do it a few different ways. There's services like Trend Micro. Trend Micro has a cool service called Housecall. And if you fire up a web browser and just go to housecall.antivirus.com, housecall.antivirus.com, that'll take you over to Trend Micro's webpage. It's easy to remember that way. The actual URL is some crazy long thing. But once you go there, you get Housecall, which is a free product from Trend. And they have where you can run a Windows, Mac, Android, you can run a free scan right from the web browser. It downloads a quick client and it runs a scan with the latest definitions. Now, that doesn't protect you on a regular basis. But if you've already gotten infected, or if you have a file that you're just not sure about, you can run a quick one-time scan and it'll scan your whole hard drive, look for any viruses, look for any malware, get them cleaned up and let you know. So it's like getting a second opinion for free. And you know, their goal is that ultimately you'll go with Trend Micro, which they're a great company as well. I've used their product at a number of places. A personal favorite of mine, though, is a service by Google. Google recognized that there's people out there that they have to open up files like these. A great example is, let's say you work in the human resources department and you're responsible for hiring people. And so people send you their resume. You get hundreds, thousands of PDF files every single day. And you have to open them. You got to look at the resume, right? Well, you don't want to just blindly open some PDF that somebody sent you. Even a Word document, it might have a macro virus in it. You don't want to open that. So what you can do is you can take these files that people are sending you and you can run a virus scan. But one virus scan, that's worth something, I suppose. But what Google did is they put together a service called VirusTotal. I shouldn't say they put it together. They acquired a service. It was already a company. They bought it called VirusTotal. And if you go to virustotal.com, it's totally free. You go to their website and you can upload a file, just one file, and it'll scan that file. And it'll scan it with like 50 different engines, not just one. So not one product, not just Sophos or just Trend Micro. It'll scan it with all of them and tell you whether or not it's a virus. Now you might ask yourself, why would they do this for free? And the answer is Google doesn't want to post search results that link to viruses. So it benefits Google to know if a file is a virus or not. So that's why they have this service. And the odds are if you upload a virus file, you're not the first person to upload it. They probably already scanned it. So it doesn't even really cost them anything. So I'm going to go ahead and upload that file. And I'll just go in and find that Office patcher that we were working with. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to upload it to them. Now, this is before I run it. I don't want to run it because it might have a virus, right? I'm going to upload it to Google and let it be their problem. And when they get it, what they do is they put it in a special like virtual environment where it's all hidden away and secret and closed off, and they actually run it. And they start feeding it through virus engines. And here we go. It starts churning through. And notice what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of red, right? And they're telling me, oh, Don, there's a virus. Don't run this, right? But it's not perfect, is it? They're going to run against over 50 different engines, right? 59 engines. And 59 for me today. It does change every now and then, so you might see more or less. But 59, only 28 of them recognize that as a virus. Is that half? Is that...
Right at about half.
It's right at about half. So that means half the virus engines out there just did not recognize what this application was doing. And this is fairly common for Mac viruses because even the antivirus vendors sometimes don't plan for Macs very well. So if there's some antivirus software out there that's only designed for Windows, it may not detect this as a virus at all because it doesn't understand Mac behavior. So that it's not crazy for antivirus software to not pick it up in some scenarios like that. But as I look at it, you'll find who are some of the bigger ones? We got Avast, AVG, ClamAV, ESET, FProT, F-Secure, McAfee, Norton, Sophos right there. So each of them red flagged it. And those are the big ones. There's Trend Micro's house call right there, regular Trend Micro. They all recognize this as a virus. And those are all the industry leading names that are out there. If you start scrolling down, you'll start seeing ones like AdAware. All right, AdAware isn't designed to detect viruses. It's designed to detect ad software that pops up promotional items on your screen, which is not what this one did. Malwarebytes are very similar. So some of them aren't designed to do that. Others, though, like super anti-spyware, you kind of expect that to pick up something like this, but it didn't. So that does happen sometimes. Some of these are going to be better than others, and some weren't able to process the file type for some reason. CyberReason, they are actually a security company, an IT security company, but their software is designed to scan web pages, not applications. And so it didn't make sense for that scanner to run on it. So they're a great company, they make a great product, but it's not designed to detect the way this one detects. Some of the others will be kind of similar to that. But basically what this did is it gave me a chance to see if the file was infected without actually running it. So if you have to open up PDFs, Word documents, other files that people are sending you, you can throw them on a service like this to scan it. Now, quick word of caution while we're talking about best practices. Understand the document you're uploading. If somebody sends you their resume and it's got their personally identifiable information in there, name, email address, physical address, phone number, you might not be allowed to upload that to Google. If it's got patient medical records, you can't upload that to Google Scan, right? So those are some of the challenges you might bump into, and that's where running antivirus software on your own system is a little more reliable because the data stays on your own system. This is not a full replacement for antivirus software. In fact, the best solution is to use multiple, not multiple AV programs on your computer at the same time. You pick one, but having that second opinion available, some other software you can refer to when you need an extra scan.
All right, Don, well, thank you for helping us understand more about the idea of using antivirus. But that is not our only security best practice, and that means there are more episodes to come in terms of security best practices. So you want to stay tuned for that one. But for IT Pro TV, I'm Ronnie Wong.
And I'm Don Pizzette.
Stay tuned right here for more of your CompTIA IT Fundamentals show.
Thank you for watching IT Pro TV.